Good day, everyone, and welcome to Spatial's monthly webinar series. We want to thank all our returning attendees for joining us today and give a special shout out to our new attendees who are present. This session, we will delve into managing and improving data quality through Parcel Fabric. The Parcel Fabric is a purpose-built capability that is configurable to work with many unique requirements. This presentation will therefore be centered around modernizing land administration with GIS-enabled parcel management. So the aim is for you to understand how Parcel Fabric can enable you to manage the integrity of your data and survey records. In today's session, we will have Nicola Simpson-Lake, Senior GIS Solutions Specialist here at Spatial. But just before Nicola comes on, I want to take the time to mention to everyone about the annual Esri User Conference. This is the largest GIS conference. It will be held in San Diego on July 10th, spanning to the 14th. So July 10th to the 14th. And this is an exciting opportunity to find out more about amazing things your peers are doing with GIS. You can also learn about the latest GIS technology straight from the source, as you will have the Esri's expert staff to guide you along the way. You can also discover new strategies for tackling the immediate challenges of our evolving world. And there's also a chance to build your GIS skills with industry-focused tech workshops. So don't miss this immersive 5-day experience. Reserve your seat today. Now we will hand over to Nicola.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. As mentioned, we will be discussing modernization of your land information system. Today, we'll be covering parcel fabric management with GIS, looking at ways in which our land agencies can support other government agencies through collaboration, and the positive impact this can have on the development of products and services for all involved. So your interest in this topic is greatly appreciated. And again, thank you for being here. For our agenda this morning, we will first have an overview of the land administration. Then we'll look at the parcel management solution in ArcGIS at a high level and some of the business drivers. Next, we'll watch the software in action from a demonstration from Matt. And lastly, we will have a discussion on land administration system and benefits of collaboration between agencies. And then we hope to hear from you and answer your questions. If you are new to Spatial's webinar series, first of all, welcome. As introduced earlier, I'm Nicola Lake, and I'm the sector lead for land administration here at Spatial. Now, there is a critical importance of land management across countries. It is limited resource with a growing population, and governments need to constantly be aware of that limited resource and manage it to ensure it meets the needs of its people through sustainable management, needs such as agriculture use for food production, as well as home and shelter for the sensory. All agencies are integral in meeting the needs of the government and the country. However, for the purpose of our webinar, we'll be focusing on land agencies and water department. ArcGIS for land use supports 3 fundamental systems. These are the system of records, which deals with land parcels. Then next we have the system of insight, deals with valuation. And finally, the system of engagement that deals with stakeholders and public engagement. GIS efficiently delivers all three on a single platform, allowing governments to accurately represent and understand property value, as well as provide secure and authoritative land records and parcel data for widespread government and public use, as well as provide support for other agencies. When it comes to land administration, Esri have organized applications and tools for parcel management into a set of configurable solutions to support the full range of workflows of a cadastral and valuation department. Looking at this slide, you can see that a wide variety of data types can be both ingested and collected using ArcGIS. This includes mobile phone applications that can work both on and offline and be used to record property boundaries and document property attributes. They can also be paired with an external GPS to attain sub-meter accuracy. It also includes application for planning and processing drone imagery. On the management side, Esri set the industry standard for parcel management and have specific tools for editing parcels, maintaining parcel history, visualizing parcels in 3D, and much more. Analysis comes into play when spatially adjusting parcels, predicting property values, and using artificial intelligence or machine learning to extract boundaries from high-resolution imagery. Then, of course, different information products can be published and also delivered as web services to the multiplicity of stakeholders dependent on your data. So we will have a look at the land modernization spectrum that stretches across a different set of capabilities. Land agencies may be at various stages of their land administration modernization spectrum with respect to the format of their land records and the tools used to manage them. Agencies may range from having paper-based system to the most advanced ArcGIS Pro Parser Fabric. Now, at different stages, key factors such as the connection of land records to the legal record documents, how parcel data are collected and added, how parcels are maintained, and how records are shared or disseminated may differ depending on where you are on this spectrum. So wherever your agency is on the spectrum, there is a direct path to the most modern ArcGIS Pro Parser Fabric. ArcGIS Pro Parser Fabric provides the best connection to official tenure record, supports the widest variety of data collection and record formats that can be imported, provides the best tools to manage land records and products and solutions to share and disseminate information with stakeholders. Now, depending where you are on the spectrum, these challenges will affect you to varying degrees. Challenges relating to data, legal framework, process, efficiency, analytical capability, stakeholder engagement, staffing, technology. Now we'll have a closer look at these challenges. Looking at the data category, we know you may have challenges related to quality management, topological integrity where boundaries may not touch or meet where they should, spatial accuracy, you have issue with custom or multiple formats to contend with, as well as the currency of the data. Now, from a legal framework perspective, it might be difficult to have a single system representing the legal and the physical work, as well as a framework that can support many sources and descriptions of records. For example, in the use of meets and bounds or use of coordinates. Now, technology for 3D cadastre is vital due to the increase in the development of multi-tenancy high-rise dwellings. And field data sometimes does not fit the legal framework, where there is a mismatch between what is written on the legal document and field data collected. From a process of efficiency point of view, you may have inadequate automation of your Q&A process. You may find that data is being re-entered where you will have data redundancy. You may have too many tools and format to contend with, which makes the process inefficient. You might not be able to properly monitor work being done, so you will develop process bottlenecks. And you may also have issues relating to accessing data and distributing data. For example, you might be on an internal network while having external workers or workers located in different locations requiring access. There are also issues related to the analytical capabilities, where you are unable to analyze the accuracy, reliability, activity, and trends in your data. You may have issues with tracking operation key performance indexes or having visualizations that provide deep insights. Also, you have decision support tools that are inadequate, or you may not have decision support tools. Of course, stakeholder engagement needs to meet modern expectation in terms of information data. This should be current, accurate, and reliable, easy to consume. And in these modern times, it should be smart. Now, staff sometimes have long learning curves, and your system might not enforce best practices, or it might not adequately track user identity for proper auditability. Now, also based on the type of technology being used, you may have difficulty with maintenance and interoperability with other systems in your enterprise. The answer to your modernization issues is parser management through the use of parser fabric. Now, parser fabric can be accessed from your desktop or your enterprise system to edit, manage, and for 3D visualization of your data, among others. Now, before we move on to parser fabric, let's have a quick look at the land administration solution workflows. Now, Esri's land administration suite covers many areas and supports you in the entire process of collecting, managing, analyzing, and ultimately sharing with the public. Now, let's start from the beginning. What exactly is parser fabric? Parser fabric is a system of record. Instead of managing parcels as you would any other lines or polygons, it is a specialized dataset intentionally built for managing parcels. It gives you multiple ways to improve the quality of your data using record-driven and quality-driven workflows. The data model shown in this graphic gives you powerful tools and specifies that a parcel is a polygon, but it is also a sequence of lines and corner points. Now, the parser fabric provides a comprehensive framework for managing, editing, and sharing parser data in both a multi-user, which is through your enterprise, ArcGIS Enterprise, and single user using file geodatabase environment. In a multi-user environment, the parser fabric can be edited and maintained using a service-based architecture. A service-based architecture allows you to share the parser fabric across all platforms, whether it's desktop, mobile, or web, and different workflows can be enabled on different clients in the field, and in the office. Parcel Fabric works across the entire Esri software system. So users can access it in desktop software, in the desktop software as mentioned earlier, mobile devices, and web applications. And we'll look at the benefits of this fact over the next few slides. Why have geospatial authorities around the world adopted the parcel fabric? You all face similar challenges. So let's review what those challenges or what those benefits are to your business. Now, the first driver is that it's easy to use and get started with. You can migrate your existing data and clean it up later. It's easy to learn as it uses the same editing tools in ArcGIS Pro as for all other editing. It comes with common tasks built in, and our training staff at Spatial and Esri have many standard classes they offer on this with many options. So there are many ways to get started with it. Driver number 2 is that Fabric gives you lots of tools to improve the quality of your data. You have 3 different ways to check for errors. You can configure the rules and determine for your organization what is the standard of a bad parcel. And you can visualize the errors, and then you can work on these errors at your own pace. Driver 3 is that it's fast. That is something we can all appreciate. It performs at a high level, even if your organization have many editors working on the data at the same time. Now, if it uses something called branch versioning, and that's when you are connected to a feature service, which will be discussed in the next driver. And that also tracks each editor and archive all data. And the database can scale to a large deployment with the likes of SQL or Oracle. Driver 4, service-oriented architecture. Parcel Fabric deploys using service-oriented architecture. Now this is allowing you to, it's connecting to a feature service simply means that instead of directly connecting to the database, you're connecting to a URL. So if you've ever streamed music on Spotify, you're connected to a service. Basically, it's the same idea here. What it means, practically speaking, is that parcel data is available to everyone anytime on any device and edit anywhere. So you can edit from the Pro desktop software, but also web application. Now, driver 4 is automation. Every organization has editors that perform certain tasks that are repetitive and step-by-step. Parcel Fabric gives you configurable tasks. So you set up all the steps and the user get the right tool when they need it. So less mouse clicks and save time, and you can track the time you're spending on it. We also offer an API that enables you to eliminate manual interaction, as well as bring the fabric into other clients like web apps and mobile devices. Driver 6, using the REST API, you can integrate the parcel fabric into other systems. You may have like registry or comma or billing, addressing, planning, permitting, among others. Driver 7 speaks to lineage. This one is very popular. The fabric keeps a complete record of all changes and makes the parcels defendable, which means there is documentation on what records created and retired each feature. Every recordation transaction results in a feature change, and you can visualize the lineage so you can see a new parcel, but also see the two parcels join to make it. So this gives you a before and after picture. Driver number 8 is 3D. Simply put, the parser fabric is 3D enabled. So at any point, if you have parcels that have heights or any way to show them in 3D, the fabric can help you visualize that. And finally, we have digital submission. And the idea behind this is that when there is change that is being made, there is a survey plan generated by the surveyor on the property. They can submit that change to you, the cadastral agency, in digital submission methodology. So you can have a group of defined submitters, which would be the surveyors working in your country. They can be registered so you can know who they are when they submit a survey plan for a property change. It gives them the ability to submit in digital form through some form of portal where they can upload their plan that can be checked against your fabric. So instead of giving a paper plan that has to be scanned and there are no ready-made way to have that in a CAD, vector, or GIS file that you can compare against your existing parcel fabric. This bridges those two worlds and make this process a lot easier. So back office work is reduced. And looking at your key performance indicators, you can review how long your process would normally take and how much it has been reduced with this implementation. So now that we know the benefits of parser fabric, we will look at a demonstration from Matt, who is a senior solution engineer at Esri, who works very closely with the LAMP. Now over to you, Matt.
Okay, so you should all be seeing my screen. And again, thank you, Nicola, for that great introduction. Now, I just want to start with a statement here. The modern cadastral agency, as we saw, is dependent upon to be responsible for managing information about the ownership, value, and the use of the land. And embracing technology such as GIS can help you achieve this goal for your agency and land administration system. And that's why I'm excited to show you how ArcGIS Pro and the Parcel Fabric can and should be part of your land administration system. ArcGIS Pro and the Parcel Fabric provide the environment and tools you need to manage cadastral databases, as well as tools for refining and improving the quality of the data over time. But let's start with an overview of what the Parcel Fabric is by using some parcels from Rotterdam, Europe's busiest port city. Before we get started, I want to introduce a few concepts. First is the concept of a record. The record is the container for your parcels. It is a one-to-many relationship in that many parcels can be part of a single record. In this case, my ID is following a letter and number format, but this is not required. It can be all text, it can be all numbers, or any combination. Secondly, I'm using the word parcels here. So parcels can be named anything you like. They can be called tax units, spatial units, etc. But inside the Parcel Fabric, you have the specialized Parcel Fabric data set, and you see all of my information here. So when you create a Parcel Fabric, all of this is automatically created by those tools. So essentially, you can use your own data model, and the Parcel Fabric will adopt your nomenclature. So now that the terms are clearer, let's see this in action. So a typical workflow for a map technician would be to take these two parcels and merge them together. I want you to notice that I have a new ribbon called parcels. ArcGIS Pro recognizes that there's a parcel fabric in my map and provides all the tools I need to work with parcels in these two tabs. We divided these tools into two types of workflows, record and quality driven. In the record driven tab, you'll see all of my tools to edit parcels right here in my gallery. So I'm going to merge these two parcels together. So simply I will select the merge tool. Now this merge tool is the exact same tool that you would use to edit and merge any other polygons. But when paired with the parcel fabric, it gets some additional capabilities. I'll simply hit the merge button. Right, so I recognize that was a really simple exercise of merging two parcels together. Very simple, but what is happening is, what's exciting is behind the scenes here, the parcel fabric. In that merge activity, the parcel fabric keeps track of all those recorded transactions. So I know which two parcels were involved in this transaction. And I now know the recalculated area that all fits within what I did as part of my nomenclature and schema of my parcel fabric. Okay. So again, a very simple solution. And so if you have concerns about, you may have used a lot of the ArcMap parcel fabric before. And if you have concerns about migrating from the ArcMap parcel fabric to the ArcGIS Pro parcel fabric, the fabric that I was working with here was created by using this upgrade ArcMap parcel fabric tool that you can find in ArcGIS Pro. Also, if you are new to GIS or ArcGIS and you don't have the parcel fabric, you can create your own from any polygon layer. So let me now show you how to create your own parcel fabric to get started. I want to introduce the concept of tasks. Tasks are configurable workflows and can act as process control mechanisms to ensure consistency in the results. Included in the installation of ArcGIS Pro, there are tasks that guide you step by step through the process of migrating your data into a parcel fabric. You can migrate existing simple feature classes in just a few easy steps, starting with the Setup the Information Model task. This guides you through the setup of your parcel fabric. In the essence of time, I've already done this. So we're going to start with loading data into the parcel fabric. You start with the geoprocessing tool append. And again, this is the same basic editing tool, but when paired with the parcel fabric tasks, it becomes directly integrated into a step-by-step workflow. So let's get our input data sets going. So in a few simple steps here, I just use my input data sets. That will be these blue parcels here. And I'm going to input these directly into my target data set, which is my parcel fabric data set, and hit run. Once this completes, you'll see that I have the option to run it again. So if I have multiple data sets, I can run this multiple times to append that data into my parcel fabric. Or if you are ready to move on, you can go ahead and just skip this step. We should be done running in just a few seconds here. Okay, so next, what we want to do is enable the parcel's topology. Topology, in this case, is in a GIS sense. With these topology rules enabled, you can append parcels anywhere in the process, and the topology rules will keep everything nice and tidy, with no gaps, no slivers, or overlaps. And if those do happen to occur in your data set, there's a very easy way to find them. So let's enable parcel topology. And go to the next step. So here, the next step is to create parcel records using record names in an attribute field. Often these record names can be retrieved from a table in another business system, such as the land registry system, by using a join and calculating those record names into a field that you added to your parcels before loading. The next step then would be to finish loading the data to the parcel boundaries. If I wanted to just build part of my data set, I can select one record to run. In this case, I'm going to run over the entire data set. So go ahead and build my parcel fabric. And what this is doing here is creating all of the parcel lines. It's creating all the missing parcel points. It's updating the records shape files and creating a, basically turning in whatever I updated into a full parcel fabric. So I'll turn off this polygon layer, and we'll see here that my data has now been integrated into the parcel fabric, complete with lines and polygons. Now, you'll probably notice that one thing is missing, my coordinate geometry measurements, or my meets and bounds. So I'm going to select these lines. I'm going to use a tool called Update Kogo. So with my line selected, all I do is hit update, and nearly instantly, every line I selected now has a distance and bearing, and that also includes the true curves. So now that we have a fresh parcel fabric in ArcGIS Pro, it's ready to be edited. So let's go to the editing tab. So the typical editing workflow, it begins with legal documentation. For example, this parcel has been sold, or a part of this parcel has been sold, and we need to create new boundary lines. So I'm going to create a record here. Let's create a new record. And this record type will be a split. And we'll say it's happening right now. Okay. So that we have that set up, I am going to split this parcel apart. But because I am working my record, I want to show only the active record, which is none of them right now. Hold on just 1 second. Copy these lines to the active record and preserve the attribution. So you see here, I do have a seed, and we'll discuss that in a second. But let's start the new boundary from this corner. So I'm going to use simply the same editing tools we would, called create features, and create a new parcel line. So I can snap here. All my snapping is the same as you were with regular ArcGIS Pro. But one of the interesting things about this is we can use some keyboard shortcuts. So as I read my document, it says that the line comes parallel to this line. So I can press the P key on my keyboard and click this line. And so now my line is going to be constrained as parallel to these other line. Now, so I can then hit the tab key on the screen to accept the distance. And I'll set it as 25. Hit the tab key to accept the bearing and hit enter. Then I can continue my boundary by connecting the boundary line to this edge. So using the tab enter keys as noted, we'll store those coordinate geometry attributes on the lines. So the new lines will have labels like the other text lines shown at the right. So this is another example of the basic editing tools getting more powerful when paired with the parcel fabric. So let's create some new seeds here. So now notice that I have two parcels that I can create seeds from. And I will build just the active. You see here, I have this parcel split. It is preserved historically. So all of this actions that I've completed on this parcel are preserved in the database. So the next thing I want to talk about is a multi-user environment. So we've seen editing in a single user environment and how Parcel Fabric supports web-based services-driven workflows. But let's scale up now to a multi-user enterprise for a large city. We are still in Rotterdam here. And we can see that if we list by the data source, you can see here that I am connected to my enterprise geodatabase. And this is all running services on the back end. And ArcGIS Pro and the Parcel Fabric supports branch versioning. For this size of city, it does make sense to divide the work and compile it at the end of the day. So I'm working in my version, and Pro has a contextual tab, again, to work with versioning. So if I click Manage Versions here, you see that I am working in my particular version. All right, so let's say I had received a legal document instructing me to split this parcel into 6 equal parts. So let's create a new record. It'll be record type of a split. And we'll say that again, it happens today. So I will simply select my parcels. Copy the lines too. So exactly the same workflow as the single user environment. And now I have a brand new record to work with this parcel. So I'm going to use the divide tool. And when paired with the parcel fabric, the divide tool comes with additional capabilities that allow us that prevents these small little segments. And this feature is activated by turning on the distribute the remaining length section, which is the default. So I'm going to do a distance here, equal distances. And here's the distribute remaining length equally. My distance will be 17 meters, and I want that to repeat 6 times. Try selecting my lines again. There we go. And now I'll do the same thing with this other side. And then create some parcel lines. Check my snapping here. Sure, we are on edge. There we go. Okay. So now we'll go ahead and create the new seeds. And we'll see that we have seeds across the new polygon and build the active record. You can see that we have a new split on here. And as we know, parcels need to have a unique ID. And so there's a tool called sequential numbering that actually makes that pretty easy. So we will have a number format. We'll say, let's just start with 1 for now and increment with 1 as well and run it through these parcels here. And now we can see that these parcels have been renumbered using that simple tool. So there's 2 more workflows that I want to discuss, but actually the last thing I do want to show you in the interest of time is something called least squares adjustment. So we talked a lot about the record-driven workflows, but now let's talk about those quality-driven workflows. So inside my parcel fabric, I'm getting information here. Get out of my way. There we go. Okay. So we've talked a lot about the record-driven workflows, but what about these quality-driven ones? We know that maintaining an accurate land administration system is one of the main responsibilities of a cadastral agency. The parcel fabric is set up to improve the accuracy of your cadastre over time. And one of the most common methods to maintain accuracy is least squares adjustment. And the industry standard DynaAdjust algorithm is built into our tools. So we have an active record here. And I will select all the features in my record. And we can run something called a consistency check. Now, the consistency check allows us to analyze the accuracy of our data without the need for control points. it's going to check that the measurements are consistent with the selected lines by comparing the bearing and distance of those given lines with their geometry in the system. Now this can take a few moments to run, so I've already run it. So I want to show you just what the analysis results look like. So turning on our analysis results and clearing our selection, we can see that we have a bunch of symbology here. And we see that the adjustment lines, the adjustment vectors come in different colors and sizes. These sizes and colors are dependent on how large the error is. So red being a larger error than a yellow. And it will also show us which direction the line and point is going to move should we accept this consistency check. We can also see what the adjustment points are going to be and how much is going to be adjusted. So I gave you a tour of ArcGIS Pro and the parcel fabric by demonstrating how it supports your common workflows. The main takeaway here is that while you do your work behind the scenes, the parcel fabric is going to preserve the historical records of land size and ownership to ensure that you are delivering your authoritative content and giving you the tools to maintain good governance over your country's land administration system. So thank you very much. And I am going to pass this on to my friend Menno Turbaals.
All right, we want to thank Matt for that demonstration. And now we'll move on to the collaboration, sharing of data between agencies, looking at land management and water supply. Now, Parcel Boundaries data offers you a rich treasure trove of data that can be used by other government and private bodies looking to enhance government practices and services offered to the public, from environmental hazard management to zoning guidance to valuation officers, using this system to support their taxation and benefit system, to the fire department needing to identify areas with sufficient or insufficient fire hydrants, to our emergency callers and emergency responders, police or medical officers whose timely assistance or lack thereof could be a matter of life and death. And finally, for agricultural use, where our farmers depend on adequate water supply needed for the production of food to supply a nation. Now, earlier we discussed the preparation of proprietary and parcel boundary data and software needed. And now we will take a closer look on how this data can be used to develop a water or irrigation distribution system to support land management and water supply for agricultural land use in rural areas. We'll also look at the benefits of sharing data between our land agencies and the impact this can have on future development of the parcel database system. So even though this discussion will be focusing on land management and water supply for agricultural use, I'm hoping this will help our land administration officers in attendance to identify products and services they can offer to other government agencies or private companies that will help increase their revenue. Protection of life and property. Excuse me. Access to clean, reliable water is critical. Water is fundamental to national and local economic well-being and the protection of life and property. And with the increased impact of drought on daily activities due to climate change, we need to develop effective, sustainable, and profitable ways to manage how we utilize our limited resources by balancing the demands of governments, individual, and organizations. Now, with the increase in population and demand for food, agricultural production is not only fundamental to improving nutrition, but it's also the main source of income for many countries. Therefore, an increase in crop production will not only help to sustain the ever increasing population, By helping to end hunger, it would also help with the economic and social development of a country. So developing a proper land management and water or irrigation distribution system for agriculture use will aid us in addressing these issues. Now, the map on screen is showing a section of our project area, and the total number of parcels within the project area is almost 10,000, of which around half is registered. Now, our team of surveyors, along with our census workers, are given the task to collect boundary and owner information, as well as land use, among other data, using Esri mobile apps. Also, before moving forward, I want to point out that even though collaboration is mainly with the water or irrigation department to provide or improve on existing water supply system for farmlands, information collected can also be used by the agriculture department to update their existing database. Information such as types of crop and the volume being produced, marketing methods being employed, how products are being transported, especially perishable items, among others. And this goes back to our earlier statement on employing sustainable and profitable ways to manage how we utilize our limited resources by balancing demand of governments, individuals, and organizations. Now, today, digital maps enable field crews to quickly view and collect data with mobile devices, eliminating paper forms, improving data entry workflows across the organization, and provide a simple way to share information with others. Therefore, to collect information required to develop a water or irrigation supply database, field officers will use Survey 123 and field maps to conduct their field activities. Now, depending on how simple or complex the questions are for the surveys, for the census survey, you can use one or both apps to conduct your data collection. You can use ArcGIS maps to collect boundary information, perform subdivision, as well as perform census surveys, depending on how simple the questions are. For more complex questions, we would recommend Survey 123. However, in taking into consideration the size of the project, the amount of data required to be collected, and the time within which the project is expected to be completed, we saw the need for both apps and dedicated field crews to focus on census data collection and a team to conduct cadastral surveys. Now, the accuracy of data being collected in the field is dependent on the accuracy of your device in terms of GPS connectivity. Different devices will give different accuracy. However, to increase the accuracy of your survey, especially for boundary data collection, tablets or smartphones can be paired with GPS receiver, example Bad Elf, among others, which will increase the accuracy from 5 meter to sub-meter accuracy, which is around probably 0.2. And this again depends on the accuracy of your existing device. Now, in Jamaica, there are lands designated for agriculture purposes. Using the land parcel database, we can identify properties in areas designated for agricultural use. Using the database, we're able to identify the size of the property, landowner, as well as whether the land is registered or unregistered. Now, web app developed using parcel boundary information integrated with Survey 123 and field maps will be used to collect required information such as whether the land is leased, privately owned, or government owned, as you can see on screen. Now, whether the land is actively being used for farming, or was there a change in use of the property, or whether it's a mixed use property, as well as current water source, among others, as shown in demo on screen. Information collected will be cross-referenced with existing info in the database and updated where required, or further checks will be conducted if required. Now, for the surveyors, performing boundary, collecting boundary information. They will be using the existing boundary database as their base map. Unregistered properties will be surveyed, and in the case of properties that were subdivided but not recorded, if any, this information will also be documented. Now, data collected by the land surveyors and census officers will start the process for land titling as well as development of a water supply database. Now on screen, we see some surveyors out in the field collecting data, and they have paired their devices, whether it's tablet or a smartphone or a GPS unit. They have paired it with a GPS receiver for higher accuracy. And they will be collecting information on the subdivision of land, if the land was further subdivided, on the size of the household on property, if any, the type of water supply being used, among others, and any challenges being experienced. Now, information gathered, as stated, will give an idea as to the type of water distribution required, such as the volume needed to maintain farming and our household activities, as well as delivery period and best method of delivery. Now, whether water will be trucked to the area or a formal water network system will be implemented, or improvement on existing system. Now, in order for data to be reliable, we have to look on the quality of it and how it is being collected. Now, the accuracy and reliability of data being collected in the field is very important. So to ensure the quality of the data being uploaded to your platform, we will look at the use of geofences. Now, most of us are aware of this functionality through Geo Event Server, which is your on-premise implementation. And we also have Velocity, a cloud-based app for real-time data tracking, Esri's latest product. However, Esri have now made this functionality more accessible to all users through ArcGIS Field app, and this requires no IT skills. Now, with many offices collecting data in the field, your organization now have the option to create geofences in field maps, allowing your GIS managers in the office to receive alerts when an officer enters and leave their designated areas. And for projects spanning over a large area with a large workforce, you can divide the area into subsets, apply the geofence rule, and assign officers to each subset. Now, as you can see on screen, there's an area that is highlighted in blue. The geofence rule was applied to this area. So once a field officer entered this area, the GIS manager in office will receive an alert to let them know that the officer is in that area and they are collecting information. Now, every move that officer takes, it will be transmitted back to the office. So once the data collection is completed and the officer leaves that area, it will then send another alert to the GIS officer, the GIS admin in office, to let them know that the officer is no longer in the area. So you will get a timestamp when the officer collect data and that data is entered into your system. It will show you whether the officer was actually in the area or not when that data was collected. So it's a method that allows you to check the validity and the quality of the data being collected. Now, to use this location sharing, the location sharing capability must be enabled for your organization, and mobile workers must have the ArcGIS location sharing user type extension. Now, apart from receiving alerts through location sharing, You can also configure your maps to automatically deliver important information to your mobile workers based on their location. You may want to be able to alert your officers when they are entering hazardous terrain or restricted areas, or alerts in the case of flooding or down trees, etc. These alerts can be triggered when they are within set distance as configured in the system by the GIS manager. So as you can see, this functionality is not only being deployed to ensure your officers are collecting data while in the field and not from the comfort of their home, but also to ensure their safety. Also to note, your maps can be configured up and updated while your officers are in the field. Now, we will look at the benefits of collaboration. Now, sharing data sets or collaborating with other agencies based on set agreements allows everyone to benefit. It reduces the duplication of data. In terms of this project, we have census officers and surveyors collecting data that will then be shared with or land agencies to update existing data, eliminating the need to employ additional workers or sending your existing workers out into the field to duplicate efforts. And as data becomes standardized and used by more organizations, it becomes more valuable. Now, duplicated data sets are eliminated and reliable and authoritative data is established, which will also save agencies money, and in turn, the government and hopefully consumers will benefit as a result. Now, speaking more on reliable and authoritative data established, when we share data and methodology of data collection, we have more eyes to pick up on errors that might exist in the data, as well as more experience to share on methodology or more knowledge to share where best practices are concerned. So leading to an increase in data accuracy and validity. Often data becomes more valuable to others than to the original owner and maintainer of the data. Now, some data collected by land surveying department agencies, such as land use, might be more useful to the agriculture department or the conservation organization. So this takes us to the fourth benefit on our list now, which is data collected by one agency shared and updated by that agency can increase productivity as well as services being offered by them. Now, our final benefits we will look at for this morning is that it saves lives. And I believe this is the most important of all. For example, data collaboration between lands department, roads agency, and properties office can create a database with accurate address data and made available to our emergency responders, such as our police and medical officers. Now, these emergency responders, to them, this could be a matter of life and death in any situation. All right, so we will look at a summary of our presentation. Now, there are some common concerns and misconceptions that are discouraging persons from migrating to GIS. Misconceptions such as implementation being too expensive, the data model or the operation workflow too rigid, getting your data ready prior to migration is seen as an expensive exercise. Accessibility is for experts only, and there is a lack of parcel history, lineage, as well as lack of lineage to parcel or originating record. Now, in order to address these common myths, I'd like to start off by first telling you about Esri's Generous Grant Program for Land Administration agencies called LAMP. Now, this program provides you with access to a bundle of software. This program is extended to all cadastral agencies in eligible countries. So you can leverage ArcGIS platform software to support relevant land administration functions of the survey and mapping, land registry, land valuation, and state and crown lands and physical planning department. All software discussed today are available. So in this program, this takes care of the first myth. All of these misconceptions have been addressed by Matt and me. As you saw earlier in Matt's demonstration, you can manipulate or edit your data in desktop or single-use environment or server deployment, which allows for multiple user access or version editing. And all these deployment can be done on premises or in a private or public cloud storage. As it pertains to rigid operational workflows, again, with tasks demonstrated by Matt earlier, you can configure your workflows based on your jurisdiction or based on your agency's requirements. As for cleanup, this doesn't have to be done prior to migration as once was required through the use of Parser Fabric in ArcMap. You can now import your data and then clean up after with ArcGIS Pro Fabric Parser Fabric. Accessibility to GIS is made easier via our WebGIS, whether this is through your ArcGIS online portal or your enterprise portal, which will allow stakeholders to access the Parser Fabric or information from it from anywhere at any time on any device with access to HTTP. So regardless of where you are, whether on the island or traveling outside of your island, once access to the web is available, you will be able to see what's happening with data within your agency. Again, as we saw during Matt's demonstration, parcel history line or lineage is built in, and also because it is record driven and the core part of the parcel fabric are in legal records that parcel is built on, this is also now built in. And last but certainly not least, collaboration between agencies can reduce data redundancy, increase efficiency, reduce spending, increase accuracy, productivity, and services being provided. So now is a time for you to take advantage of this generous package that is available to you to modernize the operations of your respective land agencies. So if you are not already enrolled in the LAMP, you can contact us here at Spatial, where we will guide you through the process with the support of our partners at Esri. You can also find more information via the landing page displayed in the right-hand corner of the slide. When you are ready to delve into your migration path to ArcGIS Pro Parser Fabric, you can engage us here at Spatial. We will provide you with the support along with our partners at Esri. There's also key resources available to help you. For Parser Fabric Meetup, you can join a discussion community about Parser Fabric. And this is where you will be able to interact with land administration professionals from Esri. And you also have story maps. And this can provide you with more insights at your own pace as to how the Parser Fabric can be implemented. Now, we will provide you with links for the resources mentioned to all those in attendance. All right, so we have come to the end of our webinar, and we would like to thank you for joining us today. On screen, you will see our contact information. Please feel free to contact us for additional information at this time. We will now open the floor for questions. Please type in the chat that is available. Thank you. All right, we will give you a few minutes to ask your questions, and then we will end our presentation for the morning.
And seeing as I'm not seeing any questions, we really want to thank all the attendees for joining us today. And as mentioned before the video presentation ends, well, we will ensure to send this video presentation, email it to everyone, and circulate it so y'all can tune into our YouTube channel. And Nicola, we also want to thank you for presenting today and for your time. And do have yourself a great day, everyone, and a great weekend. Thank you.